Thank you, Dr. Paxson. Let me once again welcome you to the 46th commencement exercise and the first virtual degree conferral ceremony of the Warren Alpert Medical School of Brown University. I also want to congratulate the families, loved ones, teachers, and mentors of the graduates one more time. To the class of 2020, we are immensely proud of you. You have worked hard, and I might add, played hard. You have done a great job and accomplished wonderful things. You are wonderful people with immense knowledge, immense passion, and a true commitment to serve, and we are thrilled that you have reached this stage in your careers. You're about to go forward into one of the most wonderful professions in the world. You are doing it at a time when your skills, compassion, vision, and creativity are needed now more than ever. You will be entrusted with caring for the sick and the less fortunate. In addition, people will come to you for help and in the process tell you their most important and intimate secrets in a frank and honest manner. Take this responsibility seriously. Never waver in your commitment to improving the lives of your patients and the society and culture that they come from. Always listen to your patients because they have immense insights and a truly important story to tell. Now, every commencement speaker, whether online or in person, wants to leave their audience having conveyed a number of important messages. I am no different, and thus there are 4 points that I want to make today. Point number 1, remember where you came from and who helped you get there. At events like this, I cannot help but flash back to my own graduation from medical school. I was very excited. My parents were very excited, but probably the most excited person in the room was my grandmother. My grandmother grew up in Greek Macedonia and was the single mother of 2 young boys. She never had a chance to go to school, let alone college or medical school. During immensely difficult times, she took my uncle and my father to the port city of Patras, where she convinced the captain of a tramp steamer to take them to New York City. When she got to Ellis Island, she realized that the majority of the island was a big hospital that was designed to detect communicable diseases. She also quickly learned that if you had anything that even remotely looked like a communicable disease, you were sent back to the old country. Unfortunately, my father had developed a rash during the steerage class voyage to New York City. To deal with this, my grandmother sent my uncle through for his exam, which he passed with flying colors. She then gave his signed health documents to my father, gave my uncle my father's forms, hid my father under her skirt, and sent my uncle through the line for a second time. Needless to say, he was just as healthy as he had been 10 minutes earlier. When this was done, she took the 2 sets of papers, 2 children, and went off into the Lower East Side of New York to form a new life. She then worked in the sweatshops in New York City while my father and uncle went to school. At my graduation, the first person I saw coming down from the podium was my grandmother. I put my mortarboard on her head and she hugged me the way only a grandmother can hug. This is as close as she ever got to a formal education and a graduation. With tears in her eyes, she said to me, "You may be a doctor, but I'm a professor. I'm a professor of life." And you know something? She was right. Without my grandmother's ingenuity, cunning, and commitment, I would not have had the opportunities that I have had. Each and every one of you have a similar story of people who gave their all to allow you to succeed. You need to honor these people by thanking them. Importantly, you also need to thank them by passing this wonderful commitment forward to the next generation. The next point that I want to make is that it is time for you to go out and find your passion. Many of you may think that with 4 years of medical school completed, your days of heavy lifting are over. Unfortunately, that's not true. When you become interns and residents, you will start on a treadmill of scientific, experiential, personal, and interpersonal learning. You will have immensely varied opportunities no matter what field you go into. The trick over the next few years is to find out what makes you happy and what makes you complete. You need to get yourself in a position where you wake up in the morning and you come downstairs and you're about to go out the door to do X, whatever X is. For 8, 10, or 12 hours that day, X should put a smile on your face. If you can do that, you will know that you have used your years in medical school and the years after medical school in an optimal manner. The third point that I want to make is that it is essential for you to work to make medicine better. I strongly believe that it is the obligation of every physician to improve the care we provide so that future generations of caregivers will have better treatments and treatment systems than we have today. At graduations such as these, I can't help but think about a patient I had as an intern named Nick D'Alessandroni, who died of a disease called idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Telling him that he had a disease with no known cause and no known treatment that was going to kill him was impressively difficult. Watching him not respond to the ineffective and toxic treatments that we had at that time, including Cytoxan, Imuran, and penicillamine, and eventually suffocate and die, changed me forever. I took Nick's death as a challenge, and I have spent a good bit of my life trying to understand and develop new treatments for this and other diseases. Simultaneously, others have been working frenetically to improve the operational approaches and cost efficiency of the care we give to patients with this and other untreatable disorders. I am sure you can thus understand why many of us had tears in our eyes a few years ago when the Food and Drug Administration approved its first drugs for idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. And I'm also sure you understand how happy we were that our research contributed to this process. The fourth and last point that I want to make is to follow your instincts about what is right. If in the future you find yourself in a position where you have a vision for what is right and cannot get popular buy-in, think of the life of Dr. Ignaz Semmelweis. In the 1840s, he realized that what was called at the time puerperal fever, that was so common and had a 35% mortality in the obstetric wards in Europe, could be markedly decreased by hand washing with chlorinated lime solutions. He had no idea why this was, but he knew what he was seeing. Rather than being hailed as a hero, he was the brunt of vicious criticism from self-righteous physicians who thought they were immune to criticism. You may be wondering why I'm telling you such a sad story. It is because of the legacy of Dr. Semmelweis. Not only was his contention subsequently confirmed, it served as the basis for the germ theory promulgated by Louis Pasteur and Joseph Lister that was the forerunner of modern infectious diseases. Thus, Dr. Semmelweis contributed to the health and welfare of millions of people. I'm also telling you this story because we have all recently seen another amazing example of selflessness. I do not have to tell this group about the worldwide impact of SARS-CoV-2 and the disease it causes, COVID-19. What you may or may not know is that the first person to appreciate and talk publicly about the funny form of pneumonia in Wuhan, China, was a young ophthalmologist named Li Wenliang. Like Semmelweis, he was not hailed as a hero. Instead, he was reprimanded. He paid the ultimate price for his caring for his patients, eventually dying from COVID-19 pneumonia. However, without his medical knowledge, clinical acumen, bravery, and willingness to speak up and alert the world, the present epidemic would have been even worse than it has been. When I first came to Brown, one of the things I was asked by alumni and others was, what are the main points you want to convey to your students? Here is my answer. We owe it to our patients to provide the best care that we can. We also owe it to future generations to make our modes of care even more efficient and develop, ameliorate, and, yes, I'm going to say it, prevent or cure diseases that are presently untreatable. So I want to end this presentation by challenging each and every one of you to improve how we handle at least one disease during the course of your careers. Exactly what type of contribution that would be will depend on your passion. It can take place in the clinic, at the bench, or at a computer terminal. It can also take place as a passionate, dedicated physician who listens intently to his or her patient and, as a result, hears and understands something that no one else has been able to appreciate previously. Imagine how great this world would be if every Brown student did that, and I'm sure you will. Now imagine where we would be years from now if every medical student made this a tenet of their medical career. So in closing, congratulations once again to the graduates, your families and loved ones, and your professors and the Warren Alpert Medical School staff. Go forth and do great things. However, remember, while you are on life's journey, that you will always be part of the Brown and Alpert Medical School family, and we will always be there for you. Now go out and celebrate. You have earned it.